Greetings. Hi, welcome to our webinar session for today titled Designing the Future Modern versus Traditional Art. Today we have a very special guest, Ts Siti Hajar. Siti Hajar,
Hi.
okay, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Siti Hajar Asnam, and
Mhm.
you can call me Hajar. So currently, I'm working at animation department at College of Creative Art, UITM. And actually, my background in actually I start as a art and design, okay, diploma in art and design, and then after that I work a few years in advertising agency before move to film studies, and then after my degree. I got scholarship to continue my master in animation, so I did my master in animation in UTS Sydney. So come back 2011, and here I am until now with UITM. Yeah.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. And can you explain a little bit about your field of expertise?
Okay, my field of expertise, basically, because I have a various background like arts and film and animations. Okay, and I consider myself. If you ask me, my forte is more on arts and animations. When I talk about art, actually, it's a creative art. Like involved with visual arts and so on. And I did my project previously called Ulit Mayang Spirits of the Sea. That's project actually is a combination between wayang kulit performance that I brought into animation platform. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank
Right.
you. And the next question will be, can you share a little bit about the history of design in Malaysia?
All right. Well, to talk about history, yeah, nama pun history kan, it's going to be a long discussion, okay? However, if I wanted to put in a little or brief history, there's nothing much different actually to compare in the world movement of art, all right? So it's always started, in any society, it's always started with a crafted object for the daily use. And this object normally like made by hewn stones and rocks, okay, or also known as menhir and megaliths. And after that, they start doing a cave painting for documentations and so on. So
Mhm.
these three things, the basic things you can see not only in Malaysia but around the world as well. And started from there, the artistic part, okay, or the aesthetic parts come when it's involved engraving and carving, right? So which is this is considered high level of artistic attainment, right? So this is make it different in certain society, like in Malaysia. Of course, we have our own elements,
Yeah.
and also in Malaysia, if you look at the history, of course, the migrations, the immigration, colonizations, and the arrival of Islam in the Malay Peninsula have influenced the local arts and craft. Okay, so if you want to talk about the identity, maybe it's quite hard, and maybe we need to have another session.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you need to touch the details on that, right? But it's just a brief one, right?
All right.
And the I think the in Malaysia, arts and design, especially on Malaysia modern art, has resurgence in the years following Merdeka. So during that time, during that period, as you can see, that there is involvement from the government sector and the ministry and so on. So and it started to have a place in the hearts, in daily lifestyle for all Malaysian actually. Okay, yeah,
Okay.
I think yeah that's it. Just a little bit. I think there's lots of history books on history design in Malaysia, but the one that I can suggest to student actually craft and the visual arts. The editor by Syed Ahmad Jamal. That one is quite brief introduction to history of design in Malaysia. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving forward,
Yeah.
can you explain the importance of traditional heritage here in Malaysia.
Right. Okay. So the importance of traditional heritage in Malaysia, I do question myself as well about this thing,
Mhm.
because my previous project, I've done a few projects that related to wayang kulit performance and also our traditional arts and craft. So the statement that came every time I was thinking about this thing is actually the first word that I mentioned in here, heritage is something that can be grown, right? It
Yeah,
was preserved, right? But how can we sustain it for the next generation? So that's important for us to understand. So how are we going to sustain it for the next generation? Because as we know, our current generation, right, our students, normally they will look into some things that are popular, okay? They're into
mm,
the pop culture things. Right now, we have K-pop, so we have anime,
yeah,
kan, they always
mm,
into these things, all the sensational things, phenomenal things, eh?
yeah,
However, as we as the I don't know, I don't say that I'm as the eldest or the elderly person whatsoever, but I think for someone who had um, a background or knowledge regarding of this, uh,
mhm,
they are have they are the one need to play an important role. Okay, so
true.
as myself, not only as an educator but also a researcher and also um, doing a project related to this thing, I might say that it's very important for us to keep our traditional heritage because heritage is something can't be grown. So how are we going to make it sustain for the next generation by applying to the current trends, right? Let's say one of my projects wayang kulit. As we know that wayang kulit performance was so famous and popular back then, right?
Yeah,
However, the younger generation doesn't know at all about the wayang kulit because wayang kulit performance has been banned for quite few years previously, right?
mhm,
So now, how are we going to make it popular again among the youngster, right?
mm,
So we know that actually to get the whole performance into KL, okay, into the big city, it's quite hard, right? So, but then with the animation, it make it possible to travel around the world.
yeah,
So this is one reason, yeah, like from the traditional performance, and then when I did a research, how can we bring it into the animation medium? So yeah, it's travel. So basically, that project I've done back in 2011 um, has been travel around the world to Hungary, to Germany,
oh,
to India, yes, and also to Indonesia, um, and to Singapore, right? To name a few. So that's why I always told my student, if you do something unique, something that portray your identity, your culture, okay, that represent our own value, it can travel further, all right? Because people out there wanted to know what other people from a different country done so far, you see, right?
okay,
So that's the one of the important things lah. And the second one, I quite agree with the statement as a living visual traditions can inherited by tradition. Okay, so this actually quote I got it from the books Art and Craft, the edited by Syed Ahmad Jamal. So basically, I think it's quite true. All right. Uh, Especially like if you have inherited something from the family. If you look at in east coast of Malaysia, the batik maker, right, or uh, the one who come from craftsman family, who did all the wood carving and so on, or kain tenun. So if you are in that society, okay, or in that family who inherited this thing, I think you are the one should continue the legacy. Okay,
yes, yes,
yeah. So otherwise, it's gonna be the dead end at that
yeah.
particular moment, right?
They have to carrying the flame, right?
Yes, exactly. There, it has to be that way. Okay, so I know sometimes maybe the people say, oh, it's by choice, right? Doesn't mean that my father is a tok dalang, I have to be a tok dalang, okay?
Yeah.
But somehow at least you get the knowledge, okay? Or if you didn't become a tok dalang, at least you document something that related to that things. I think that one is go back. I think we can look further later on that thing.
Okay.
And the last one I think is because of the local wisdom, knowledge and value of cultural tradition. So if we didn't preserve or we didn't sustain our traditional heritage, day by day, we're going to lose our own value, our cultural value and knowledge, right? So it's very important um, for us to understand our local wisdom and how we develop our thinking and daily routines towards this thing. Yeah, I
Yes.
think that's it. Yeah, just a brief one. Okay.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
impressive. Okay.
Okay.
And we go next to our questions, which is, what are the main problems or challenges that you face to continue this heritage culture?
All right. Problem and challenge. Okay, this is based on my own experience. Okay, so throughout the year, when I wanted to do something that related to our traditional heritage, I always face a problem with the main resources. Okay, when we wanted to carry out a project or a research, we need a valid resources. So, like let's say last year, me and my colleague, Dr. David, we're trying to do a research about sirih dara. Okay, sirih dara has been used previously as a part of the hantaran. Okay, however, we didn't find any documentation, valid documentation on that, and also we tried to interview some people, quite old people. Sometimes they can't really remember, okay, about that things, and I need to call them again after a few days, whether they can remember or not on that particular thing. So it's very frustrated because no one has documented it before. We just know the name, but we
Yes.
didn't know the details because there's no books was talk about that thing. Yeah, we do have a lots of book talking about Malay wedding and Malay hantaran and so on, but
Yeah.
they didn't go into the details why the siri junjung like need to be like that, the design and so on. But no one really document that things. So that for me, that's the main challenge, and it's not only on the what we call it, the background. I mean the resources and book and so on, but
Mhm.
the main resources can be the money, right? Time, space, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, that's always the main challenge, I guess, or problem, because I think sometimes when I wanted to do a research related to this, and I asked about money from certain channel, sometimes people will ask, I think, very odd question like, "Oh, if you didn't do the research, no one's going to die, right?" I say, you
Sorry.
cannot yeah, you cannot say that way. You cannot compare our fields, the arts and
Mm.
design, this
Yes.
something that related to culture with the medicine or whatsoever. So that's the kind of frustrated actually when I heard that question. No one's going to die, so why you have the urgency to do this research or project? So uh, that was quite sad lah. Okay, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Okay. And previously, many parents were concerned to allow their children to enroll in art-based program at university or college. And through this, what is your advice on this? Okay.
Right. I do understand about this thing, and um, yeah, because I don't know. This thing. I think I cannot. I cannot like. Because each parent have a different perspectives toward this. Okay, maybe
Mhm.
because they worried about their kids future and so on, right? And
Yeah.
maybe I do have an experience when I'm out promoting my program and so on, that the parent asked me what they're going to do after this. Is there a job available? How about the employability under this course and so on? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes uh, people get worried because of what they're going to do after the studies, right? After the uni. Okay.
Yeah.
But then if you look at arts and design, because people will say, oh, why don't you go and become a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, all these professional. And I told this parent, I said, our field, the designer, the performer, is a professional as well. Okay, it's a professional as well, right? And this thing actually, like I mentioned earlier, about the local wisdom, okay, about how important to sustain our heritage grow and so on.
Yeah.
This is what we call the support system and ecosystem. Okay, when the way I look at this thing, actually the support system is not come from one institution, right? Okay, let's say the student or the one person, the individual. Okay, let's say before this, the father is Tok Dalang, and then he wanted to continue to become a Tok Dalang, but a professional Tok Dalang, the modern Tok Dalang, kan? Uh, of course, some people they say that, oh, you're not being true to the culture because you're becoming a modern Tok Dalang, right? However, like I said, in order for us to sustain, uh, we need to sacrifice certain things and we need to evolve to adapt. If we look back on the history of arts, because of the migrations and so on, okay, the evolution and so on. So of course, there's thing that you need to be flexible. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So if the parents support the student and students support the program and the program support to the to the institution, means the arts institution and so on. So the ecosystem keep grow, right? So this is how you sustain our heritage, because it can't be grow, but how you're going to sustain it for the longer generation. So when we talk about that thing, we need to look at the support system and the ecosystem. Yeah. Right. So I don't know how the lecturers or the marketing people is going to approach um, parents regarding of this, but even though if they study about medicine, let's say, not all of them are going to end up to become a doctor, right? If they do
Yes.
become a doctor, doesn't mean they're going to be happy. So it goes back to the individual, okay, what they wanted to do actually. So everybody have their own goals, their own needs, their own happiness, and it's depend on what they wanted to choose. Okay, I think this one is very hard sometimes when we talk about this thing. That's why I don't want to go further on how to convince the parents, but to educate the parents about the ecosystem and the support that
Yes.
these kids needed, right? Rather than try to, oh, bagilah masuk and so on. So susah, alright?
Yes,
Okay,
true.
yeah. Okay, I think yeah, that's it. So yeah,
We need to convince the parents first to support their children, right?
yeah.
Um,
Uh,
okay, thank you very much. So next question. What initiative has been taken made by the government to continue this heritage culture?
Yeah, I think this is one of very famous question. Kan? We always ask that what government can provide us, and or sometimes people keep saying government didn't support us enough and so on. Okay, this is some of the initiatives that I know. Okay, or I've been engaged before. Right, I think the very important one. We do have a National Art Gallery. Okay, so the National Art Gallery is like a main symbol that we do appreciate our arts and craft and so on, right? The visual art. Okay, we do celebrate art, so that's why we do have a National Art Gallery. So I think the initiative to have a proper art gallery is very important. Okay, so maybe after this, each state they do have their own gallery. They can start collecting or exhibit artworks came from Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Perak, Kedah. So I think like each state they have their own local wisdom. All right. That's very important. The first one actually the gallery. Okay. The second one, through campaign and festival. As we know that festival Craft Tangan always happening every year. It's quite big. But the problem is with um, our local campaign and festival, even though it's very consistent in terms of penganjuran, okay. However, in terms of the content, what they bring into the campaign or the festival, sometimes uh, is not achieve the standard that we want, right? Because why I said so, because there's a one time I went to a festival. It's supposed to be Malaysian Batik festival. Okay. However, when I attend the venue, almost half of the batik exhibit and sell in that space actually from Indonesia. Okay.
Oh,
Yes, from Indonesia. So it's quite sad, you know.
yeah.
Uh, don't get me wrong. I love Indonesian batik. It's so nice. Okay,
Yes.
because I love Indonesian batik. That's why I know this is from Solo, or this is from Jogja, or this is from Bali. You know, ni Pekalongan and so on. So, uh, people say that only apa the words only Jauhari mengenal manikam. So if you know, you know, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just like, how come you know? How do you know this from Indonesia? It's like look at the design. Okay, that's why I said that if you study our history, the elements of our arts and craft, we do have our own identity, right? Of
Yes.
course, it's different than whatever that Indonesia have. So it's quite sad when I have a chat with my friend, and my friend said, I don't think so that the organizer, okay, really concerned about this thing. Okay, so this is the one thing they need to really look at the products that been brought up into this campaign or the festival. Okay, sometimes in the poster itself, I can tell this is batik Indonesia. How come they can simply Google batik and then oh cantik lah and just use the photo, right? So I think that one they need to the initiative is there, but they need to look at overall
Mhm.
things that they wanted to show, and also grant. I think like most of the practitioners know about Cendana. Okay, Cendana has been supporting our local talent for quite sometimes already, and they open it yearly. I think this is a good initiative from the government as well. Also competition. As you can see, like throughout the year, there's a lots of competition that related to our arts and craft. Okay, and
Mhm.
also educational program run by Ministry of Education. This one is good as well. Normally they have a series of seminar, webinar or talk related to our local arts and craft. Yeah, so I think this is a few initiatives that I know or I've been engaged previously. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And all these initiatives, right? Does it effective?
Okay, when we talk about effective, it's very subjective, okay, on how you measure it, right? Okay, so if you wanted to look at the perspective of value, let's say with the educational program, to educate our Malaysian citizen about our heritage or about our the importance, okay, to preserve or to sustain all this thing. Does it effective? It's hard to say on how we're going to measure. Maybe we need to look at research that has been done so far. However, if you look at Cendana, I think it's effective because there's a lots of local talent grow. And if you look at the batik campaign, I think it's not effective yet because in our government sector, as you can see, even on Thursday or Friday, that we need to wear our batik.
Mhm.
most of them, almost like major, is going to turn out with Indonesian batik, okay, not a Malaysian batik. So I think it's not effective yet on that section, right? So yeah, I think to talk about effectiveness as a general is quite hard because it's very subjective. We need to look at what arts, or on which perspective you wanted to look at. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on. Okay. What is future planning by the government? I mean, through related agencies or ministries, uh, to enable and ensure teenagers continue to be interested in this traditional art. Okay.
Wow, challenging, to the government. Okay. One thing that I can share, because I don't really know actually what's the details on government planning and so on, but what has been
Mhm.
shared to us previously, the latest one I can say is Dasar Kebudayaan Negara 2021. Okay, this one has been published. If you Google on the website, they do have a PDF version of it. Okay, so mostly people who work within about arts and culture, they will look into this document, right? So there is a 7 teras actually under Dasar Kebudayaan Negara 2021, and if you look at Trust 3, 4 and 5, from 3, 4, 5, that is related to I think what we can consider the planning, right, until 2025, if not mistaken. Okay, so pemeliharaan dan pemulihan warisan budaya, pembangunan dan pengembangan budaya and pengasaan budaya. Okay, so I think in terms of sustainable, can look at into teras 5, pengasaan budaya. So um, if we go details, when we read the Dasar Kebudayaan Negara, I think if it's fully execute, yes, it's help. The planning might be effective. I don't know. Okay, so we wait another like a few years to see. But the initiative, the planning is there, right? Uh, but the issue is always on the execution part. Okay, orang kata gagal merancang, merancang kegagalan. But
Sure.
of course, the way how you execute is very important because
Yes.
ramai orang kita macam sekadar melepaskan batuk di tangga. Oh, janji ada, half cook and
Yes.
so on. It's not fully
Mm.
delivered. Okay,
Mhm.
so we can't really when it's not fully delivered or dia tidak di-deliver sepatutnya, you're not going to see the right outcome. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So we wanted to see the outcome. So of course, if each one of us in the ecosystem, right,
Mhm.
pick up
Mhm.
this thing, the 7 teras, and we do deliver accordingly to the plan, uh, then after a few years, we might see a good outcome. Okay,
InsyaAllah.
insyaAllah. If not, dia hanya sekadar planning saja kat situ.
True.
Okay,
True.
right?
Mhm. Okay.
And I think like tak guna juga kalau government has done the initiative and then have come up with the Dasar Kebudayaan Negara, but we as a Malaysian citizen, regardless of our background, didn't support all these things pun tak ke mana juga. Okay,
Very
alright,
true. Okay.
okay,
All right. Okay. Our last questions will
yeah.
be, what is your advice to the young people in context of preserving the cultural heritage in our country?
Okay, this is very hard. Again, right? Okay. I don't know how to say it to the younger generation. Okay, but like myself, I think at first, also I didn't know about much about my culture. What I know is like a very basic. Okay, when we go to like Hari Raya celebrations, and then when I went to Kelantan and I saw the wayang kulit performance, and I say, oh, this is nice. Okay, but during that time they do have this kind of performance, and not apa all younger generation we have apa uh, the opportunity
Yeah.
to go into this kind of performance and so on.
Mm.
But what I can say is up to a government, okay, to come up with a campaign to tackle this younger generation, how to promote our art and craft, okay, and try. Sometimes the problem is that because the people in the institutions is the older generation, okay, they have their own mindset. They're not trying to go and understand our Gen Z, the millennial, how they love it, how they want it to be, and so on. So I think it's
Exactly.
good. Yeah, I think it's good for the institution to do some research or get to know the demographics and then start with the campaigns, okay, to connect like whatever that you want to promote to this younger generation, okay. Like for me, I always wanted to be a cool person, okay. So and I found out that how can, you know, in my family, when we go to kenduri, I need to wear baju kurung, okay. uh, and I found that baju kurung is not cool at first because I need to wear it with heels, okay. And then I told my mom, if you want me to wear baju kurung, let me wear it with the sneakers, okay. I need to wear my Converse, right? So my mom said, okay. When I wear that, and then I found out that yes, you know, you need to mix whatever um, uh, has been brought up in our culture and mix it with our current um, possession and so on, you know, like you can mix it. So mix and match is good actually. So I always ask my student if they say, oh, madam, this is not nice, like, why don't you try to mix and match, why don't you try to experiment it, okay, adapt to the current situation, adapt to this design, okay, to our culture value and so on. So we give them space, right. I think if we allow them to do their own experiment, okay, they will discover something interesting on our heritage or our arts and craft. Okay, don't be like so structured, kan?
Yeah.
Tak ada, jangan kena flexible. With the younger generation, you need to be flexible. I
More
know
open.
kan if
Yeah.
you look here sometimes you know the yang macam apa pakcik-pakcik kan dia kata oh mana boleh gitu kain tenun kena gini, kain tenun tak boleh gitu, mana boleh kain tenun colour gitu je. But I said if you want to sell this kind of kain tenun, of course this youngster doesn't want to wear it. If you
Yeah.
want to, you know, to use this colour for this batik, now tengah trend all the pastel color kan, so somehow you need to be flexible actually, okay, to keep
Yes.
the ecosystem going. Yeah, that's my advice. Okay.
And thank you so much for the advice and those brilliant answers that you have gave us.
Right.
Ts Siti Hajar. Thank you
uh,
very much
Thank you
for
so
joining
much,
us
Mr.
for
Tia.
today.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it from us. I hope this webinar will bring you the knowledge that you need. Okay. And please continue to support us here, whether is this government body or private body, in to preserve our heritage here in Malaysia. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you so much again. Thank you again,
Thank you.
Siti
Yeah.
Hajar. Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay. And this is Dia Ania Kamal signing off. Thank you very much.